Okay, here's project 2 for the day. The NSF100 needs to be repaired. I got jack stands out, I've got the bike out. What needs to be repaired is the rear shock. We need to remove it, so we're gonna have to stand the bike up, lift the rear wheel off the ground so that the swing arm doesn't collapse when we take the shock out. Pretty straightforward. The problem with the shock is this was rebuilt, cost about 375 bucks, and it doesn't work. Put it in there, there's no damping. Initially when I first put it on, I could feel the shock had damping. Now it's just a pogo stick. So this is a very uncommon bike. There aren't any in the United States for the most part, so you can't buy a shock. What I did find out, however, hallelujah, I have a brand new shock from Japan because they sell these bikes in Japan. I was able to buy this off WEBIKE. This is a Honda genuine shock. This is the same thing that's on there. It's just brand new. Hopefully that means it has damping. So I'm just gonna run through this and we're gonna change out the shock and hopefully end up with a rideable bike once again. So I'm going to take out the triangle stand here, set my jack stand close to the foot peg, and because this is a mini bike, I'm just going to pick it up right there, and hopefully that will allow me to get to the bolts, take the shock out, support the rear wheel so it doesn't collapse, and get the shock replaced. Then take the tail section off the bike. There are 4 screws that hold it on, and then we should be able to get in there to take the upper mount bolt loose. Here I'm going to block the rear wheel, just slide a couple pieces of lumber under. It's just to keep the swing arm from moving so that the bolts that hold it in stay lined up so I can take them out. Here we are on the seat. There are 4 bolts that hold it on. Crack those loose, one on this side, and a final one on this side. And we're ready to go. I will go back and loosen those and take the tail off. One thing I especially like about this bike is that it's a race bike. It was built to be a race bike and nothing else, so it's very simple. One thing I want to point out, captured nut. On the other side, we put a socket on the bolt to remove the bolt, so I don't have to hold it on the back with a wrench on both sides. One hand, one side. Same thing up above. Bolt is here. The nut is captured, welded to the frame, so there's nothing to hold here. You literally just unscrew the bolt from both sides. Last piece is to note the hose routing just goes straight down to the reservoir. Very short hose. We just need to loosen the screw clamp here. There are mounts on the frame to hold the reservoir. Everything's where it needs to be. Pretty straightforward. I'm gonna hook up. Loosen the bolt. It should come straight out of the bike. That will loosen the shock on the bottom side, and then we'll do the same at the top. I am going to attempt to do this without removing the rear wheel. I'm going to keep the chain tension, rear wheel in place, and then we will extract the shock. Next step after that is the reservoir on the other side. Now I am going to take the hose clamp loose, at least enough to get the reservoir off of this side, and then we can remove the shock. Loosen the hose clamp, move it out of the way. Reservoir comes loose, and now, with any luck, the shock will just come out. Easy peasy. Time to put the new one in. Before I put the shock in, I am going to put a little grease in here in the bushing. Hopefully help protect it a little bit. Both sides. To the the other end of the shock. Again, this is a brand new pristine shock. I'll protect the metal there. And then slide it back up in here. Reservoir will go in place. Just line up there. And again, I'm just fitting this into place. We will go in from the other side and put the bolts back in, and then I'll come back and put the reservoir back in after doing the bolts. Coming back from this side, I'm not greasing the bolts because I did grease the shock bushing. Line it up, put the bolt in. And then tighten the bolt in place. Like I said, this is a race bike, so it's made to be taken apart quickly and easily, so there's not much getting in the way. We'll do the upper bolt mount. Nice and simple. There we go, tighten it up and we're done. Well, we need to go do the reservoir on the other side. Okay, what I've done is slid the reservoir up into its clamps on the frame, and then just going to tighten up the hose clamp. With that finished, we still need to adjust the shock and ride it, but that's something we'll do at the track. The screw adjuster for the reservoir is at the front. The adjuster for the shock body is down here at the bottom on the other side, so it's pretty easy to get a screwdriver on and adjust. But that's how we put the shock on and off. This is pretty common stuff for any other bike conceptually. This one's just really easy to work on because everything's out of the way and there's not emissions controls and things like that. This is a catch tank for oil overflow, so it's a nice aluminum body instead of the usual plastic water bottle. But that's my NSF, and hopefully we're close to getting this out on track again. It's been months. Now I got the tail section back on, and it's just a matter of tightening 4 bolts. And this one, 2, 3, one more on the side. Simple stuff. Step. Let's take our wood block out of the wheel. Put it on the ground. Pick up the bike and rock it to one side. Stand it off. Lift and set it down. I'll put the triangle stand back. And push. All done. I think she's ready to ride. The shock damping, I can definitely feel it. Nothing like the old spring on a stick.